Sustainable Development Goal 11. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. In 2015, 54% of the global population, about 4 million people, lived in cities. And by 2030, that number is expected to rise to 5 billion. That is a lot of people that rely on the systems and development of new and old urban spaces. Did you know? Unplanned urban sprawl, which means cities moving beyond their formal boundaries, can hurt the National Development Plan and Global Sustainable Development Goals. Not to mention that our urban spaces emit greenhouse gases that contribute to climate change. Half of the world's urban population breathes air that is 2.5 times more polluted than standards set by the World Health Organization. SDG 11 has 10 targets within it that touch on the political, economic, and social or cultural aspects of its larger goal. One target calls for support of positive economic, social, and environmental links between urban, peri-urban, and rural areas by strengthening national and regional development planning. Another target aims to ensure access for all to adequate, safe, and affordable housing and basic services, and to upgrade slums by 2030. There are 5 characteristics the UN uses to define a slum: inadequate access to water, sanitation, and infrastructure, poor structural quality of housing, overcrowding, and insecure residential status. Upgrading a slum can be with infrastructure like street networks and access to basic municipal services. So, what kind of work is being done to help reach this goal? Let's look at the initiative RED, which stands for Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation. This project works to protect forest area in Peru to combat climate change and poverty. The UN has partnered with Native communities to protect the Amar Kaeri Communal Reserve, which provides more than 1,700 people with their livelihoods. Native people are acting as stewards of the land, guarding it from mining and illegal logging. Tropical rainforests take in CO2 and release oxygen, making them critical for the planet. But this forest also holds a deep value to the local communities. As of May 2017, 149 countries were developing national-level urban policies. But there's still work to do to ensure that all individuals receive access to new, sustainable systems and services, and to make our urban spaces more resilient and environmentally conscious. And all this is connected to the rest of the 17 SDGs.
I have seen people living in countries north and south in complete darkness, without electricity and without water. I have seen children playing on garbage heaps in informal settlements like they are trampolines. And I have seen persons with disabilities languishing prisoners in their own homes. There are few cities that I visit where I don't see people having to live on the streets, forced to eat, sleep, cook, and defecate on sidewalks. They cling to dignity and life, but it is a thin thread. Homelessness and inadequate housing are an assault on dignity and life, and as such go to the heart of what triggers human rights concerns. Human rights violations of this nature demand human rights responses. A rights-based approach clarifies who is accountable to whom. All levels of government are accountable to people, particularly marginalized and vulnerable groups who are recognized as rights holders, not the beneficiaries of charity.
Hello and good evening. I'm Melissa Idris. Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. Under the Madani Inclusive Housing Initiative, the Prime Minister has mandated that all future housing projects include 1 or 2 blocks for lower income groups. Now, this initiative targets major cities like KL, Selangor and Penang, where the affordability crisis is most acute. But will this bold move provide a sustainable solution for affordable housing in our country, or are there unintended consequences we haven't yet considered? Joining me now is Kashif Ansari, co-founder and group CEO of the real estate data company Juwai IQI. Kashif, thank you for being on the show with me today. I'm just wondering what you make of this new requirement that all future housing projects in KL at least must have 1 or 2 blocks of affordable housing.
Hi, thanks to having me. First, good initiative. Appreciate the government initiative. It's good. It's not only Malaysia, globally, low income, affordability housing, it's an issue. So it's a balanced measure that aims to make affordable housing more available. We know that it can work because it's, like if you see even in the region or globally, these do exist. These kind of schemes do exist. So definitely it's a good. So, yeah.
Kashif, could you elaborate in other countries where these types of affordable housing units are mandated within a certain project? What are the parameters? How do they exist, and what makes them successful in your estimation?
That's quite interesting. So, like what they have done, whether it's Singapore, Hong Kong, New York, Australia, what they have done, they did a partnership. It's a public-private partnership, and the main stakeholder, which is the developer in this case. So they bring them together to make sure that these schemes are bit successful. Keeping in the view like what they have done, they have given tax incentive to the developer or the land, which is the main issue currently globally. Like the land cost is so high. So government do come in and provide developer some government land with the low cost where the developer can build, and these can be successful. So this is what we are expecting. As I say, still we are waiting for more guidelines from the government, how this will work. But these are the things, to make it successful, I think they have to bring the developer, which are the main stakeholder on this.
Yeah, I wonder how developers are responding. Granted, we do need more details, but what challenges, Kashif, do you foresee developers facing in complying with this new requirement?
The government will need to find a way to ensure new housing can still be built profitably. Like in other countries, affordable housing requirements are usually, as I mentioned, like they allow developer to build more projects, reduce taxes, the land cost. But, like there will be a time, we feel that they will adjust. They will adjust. The best part over here, we work with most of the developers in Malaysia. They do have a good intention of doing it. I'm not seeing any kind of negativity where they're saying it's not possible. It's definitely possible, but how it will implement and how it will lay out, that's the main thing. So if everybody will be on board, I think this is a good initiative, and intention from both parties are on good.
Milestone. We must also focus on finding a balance between the rapid growth of the property market and also the need for affordable housing. We must avoid the tale of two cities like stated by Charles Dickens, where one part of the city remains for the rich and the other part is for the poor and the less privileged. According to the National Property Information Center, NAPIC, Property Market Report, affordable houses priced at 300,000 and below have make up 52.5% of total residential transactions last year. This indicates a strong demand from Malaysians for affordable homes, and the government is dedicated to delivering more in line with the Malaysian Madani's aspirations and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. However, this mission cannot be achieved alone. It demands the 4P models. 4Ps means the people, public, and private partnerships, which refer to the symphony of government direction, private sector innovation, as well as community wisdom.
Hello and good evening. I'm Melissa Idris. Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. The Local Government Development Ministry has come under some criticism for its decision to consult with Singapore's Housing and Development Board contractors in hope of learning best practices from the HDB model. Now, Minister Ngah Koh Meng said that learning from the successes of Singapore's HDB in providing public housing for 80% of its citizens may in fact help Malaysia tackle some of our own affordable housing issues. What can we learn about public housing from our neighbours down south? Well, joining me on the show to discuss this further is Dr. Suraya Ismail. She's Director of Research at Khazanah Research Institute. She's a member of the panel of experts for the Ministry of Housing and Local Government and a council member for both the National Cost of Living Council and National Council of Digital Economy N4IR. Dr. Suraya, thank you for joining me on the show. What do you make of this brouhaha over consulting Singapore? I mean, should we in the first place be looking at Singapore's HDB model for our own affordable housing programs? I mean, what would you say are some of the pros and cons of doing this?
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you for having me back on your show. I think to go straight to your question, whenever someone wants to look and learn from other countries, I think it's fantastic. I think it is great that we try to learn as much as we can from other countries that are successful in the provision of housing for their own citizens. Be it from Singapore, be it from, I heard that we are going even to Hong Kong. Don't know how successful that is in terms of affordability, but there are some European countries that I think he's mentioning as well. I think what should be underwriting the motives, I think, is that this is an opportunity to come back and revisit the national housing policy, where we actually, when the government did say that we want to ensure that the housing delivery system in our country can give the sort of housing that the Malaysian population wants, which is good, decent housing quality with affordable prices. So with that objective, it is good to look at many other delivery system of other countries. Now let's go specifically to Singapore. The outcome of Singapore Housing Development Board is very good. They can house 90% of their population within the Housing Development Board provision. But you have to understand as well, you have that outcome, but what are the building blocks of that country or the characteristics of that housing industry that enables them to then come up with that outcome? First of all their land is in the state or the holdings of the government. More than 90% of land is in the holdings of the government, meaning there's no private developers, but only for 10% of the land and about 10 to 12% of the population, which is the upper tier, the most affluent of the population over there. Now, if this is something that we want to emulate for our country, then we have to nationalize all the land in our country. I don't know whether this is something we would like to do, but that will be the building blocks towards a housing provision like Singapore. And this is called a universal provision system.
Okay, the next part is about question and answer. First question, why is housing basic human right and the foundation for family stability?
Okay, house is a basic human right, providing safe shelter and security. For family, a stable housing insurance, livelihood, foster harmony, and avoid displacement, impact on family relation and development.
Okay, the next question. What factor affect housing choice?
Location tied to public facility, employment, schools, impacting convenience, Second, price finance. B40 M40 groups facing limit choose due to insurance savings funds. Inability supports key role of government projects like Prima Roma Wipe, PPR. Personal needs, family size determine space, internal facility match habits.
Okay, the next question. The next question is about what are major housing sector issue.
Okay, shortage of affordable housing making home buying hard for low to middle income groups. Real estate speculation drive up price, increase burdens, poor construction quality in some housing with safety risk, stricter cumbersome local process high turning size. In science understanding of housing for police and low or buyers.
Okay, the next question. What solutions align with sustainable development goals?
Policy optimization, expand primer-like projects, refine policy to protect low to middle income housing needs. Financial education, popularize lower and budget knowledge for B40, M40, and youth. Teach innovation, promote IBS, BIM, and eco design to boost efficiency, cut costs, and reduce impact. Community optimization, build inclusive housing for driver needs, promoting social ingratitude.